Those fit like $80.
Really?
Now you can
I
go
never
meeting
heard
order.
it.
Oh my God.
Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order.
Take a little nap.
Okay. yeah.
Anything for update agenda? No one?
Is your stuff on the agenda, Joel?
What's that?
Is your stuff on the agenda?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, public comment. Bruce, do you have anything for us?
I'm pretty well set, thank you.
Okay.
Hi,
So
Allison.
Allison, you don't have time to breathe. You're right on now. The town
Yay!
plan.
Yay, can you hear me?
You bet.
Yep.
Okay. A couple of things, and thank you for inviting me. I know I've been kind of busy lately. I had a couple of questions for you regarding the town plan update. And I had some slides I wanted to share with you.
Okay.
But first, I just want to make sure we talked about possibly seeking Tier 1B status in parts of the community. And remember that I shared with you some maps showing those areas that would have a partial exemption that would encourage housing development. And it was areas in what is, your existing designated village center and the areas around it. And I have that map and I can share it with you again, but it's important for me to know that that is something that's of interest to you and it's something that you want to pursue in the town plan update. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let me
You
just.
should be able to share now.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
And that requires us, as I recall, to have subdivision regulations.
It requires you to have subdivision regulations. And since you're promoting, how do I do this? Are you able to see that now?
It's a coming.
I'm not seeing anything. I'm just seeing my screen.
Yeah, I see
Okay,
you.
I'm gonna-
Yes.
Yeah.
You have to.
Okay.
So when you hit share, you have to. Then you should get the little window pops up, and you're gonna have things to
Window.
pick
Ah,
from.
I got it. Here we go.
And now pick the one that you want to share.
Okay. So are you all seeing this? This is
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is what Liam, when he came up to meet with you this summer, and I came with you to develop your future land use map, and this is required for the regional plan. But it shows the dark pink areas are your village center areas. It's a little larger than what you have, but we have a little we do have some leeway in adding to that. So the light pink area along Cross Street is what you currently have designated. We could add to that designation area running along Derby Street and Railroad Street. So that would, because those areas that you've zoned, you currently allow for higher densities and a vibrant mix of uses. So we could extend those boundaries. So that's one thing. The other thing is, I wonder if I can zoom in here. Because you don't have subdivision regs, the areas outlying the village center designations are shown as, many of them are shown as just transition areas. Those areas are not really subject to any potential benefit. And they're also not subject to Act 250 partial exemption. If you were to adopt subdivision regs, and let me stop sharing, and I'm going to bring up a different map, slightly different map. Okay, so now I go back to sharing window. Now, Liam just did an inset for me, and this is what I based the housing analysis on, like where we could identify some areas for infill to create new housing opportunities. All of the areas that appear in the pinks would be either eligible for village center well, they'd be the dark pink, the darkest pink would be your village center. Your second darkest pink would be a planned growth area. It would also be eligible for partial exemption of Act 250. So this was if you were to adopt subdivision regs, and the areas that are shown in the pink all allow for either village or neighborhood scale dense development. They have access to services or the potential for access to services. They have a certain degree of walkability. I know that some of those, like sidewalks, for example, are in need of serious repair, but in theory, there's some degree of walkability. These could all be like traditional neighborhoods. So that's what you'd be looking at for eligibility for from Act 250. So I'm going to stop sharing that because the next thing is your plan needs a future land use map. Traditionally, we did it by just showing a community zoning map, but that's not really going to communicate what your plans are here. Because if we just showed your zoning map, it's not going to really show the desired, first of all, the areas where you could encourage density or pursue partial Act 250 exemption. On the other hand, you don't have to make your future land use map look just like ours. It doesn't have to be that complex. So what I was thinking of, both our map and your map follow the same essential concept. And that is you follow a transect approach where you start with one area that's, the densest, and then you kind of graduate out with slightly less dense areas, and then you graduate out to the open areas that you want to protect. And your zoning bylaws kind of follow that same configuration. And so looking at your zoning districts,
That map there.
I thought that we could come up with land use categories for your future land use map. And again, I'm going to have to go back and share this screen. For some reason, I'm not that nimble on Zoom tonight. But are you able to see all of this?
Yep.
All right.
Okay. So I was just, and again, using your zoning map as a future land use map is probably not a great idea, because even though your zoning is supposed to reflect desired development plans that you document in your plan, you're trying to do a little bit more here. You're trying to really promote vibrancy of that village core in the neighborhood residential districts. And you're also trying to accommodate housing targets, which are really geared towards the population centers. You don't want them out in like your conservation lands. So I just started with, on the left-hand side of this slide, I have your existing land use districts that are in your zoning. And then I thought we could do a variation on that where, and the ones on the right are the ones that we would show on your future land use map. So, and again, the first 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I'm sorry, categories would really follow that transect approach where you're starting with the most dense areas and then radiating out. And then you would have special consideration areas. And those are the areas like have zoned for industrial uses and the shoreline overlay. I kept the lake land use category separate only because you have some unique considerations there. So I want to go to the next slide to just explain what I'm thinking of how we might make this work. So your village, this would be your highest densities. This would include the legacy village center designation, but also it would include the areas that we're proposing that be added to it, pending our, the land use review board approving our map. And again, they would be intended to accommodate some of the highest densities in the community, accommodate a broad mix of uses, and then also encourage in some places more vertical development. In the last meeting that I had with you, we talked possibly about revisiting that 40-foot limit for vertical development in some areas where you have densities where that 40 feet is already surpassed. So some of those, in some areas, allowing for vertical development, particularly in the core, would make sense. And everything in that category, you would have areas that, it could be eligible for Tier 1B. The neighborhoods, so that's primarily your neighborhood residential areas and with residential scale businesses. And a lot of this is included in your neighborhood residential district. It's characterized as dense, mostly served by water and sewer. Some areas where there's one but not the other. There are opportunities for tying in. There's opportunities, as we saw in my previous visit with you, for more infill. And there are some areas that need better sidewalks and connectivity. I think it's like the one on Pleasant Street that is kind of dangerous to walk on. So then it would radiate out to the transition mixed area. And this is mostly, it's lower density, but it's closer to 2 acres. It's mostly the development that's immediately adjacent to the higher density areas. That does allow for some businesses. It tends to be road oriented. There are some, but again, there are some businesses that are allowed there. Again, we're mostly talking about rural residential. But again, the areas don't need to line up perfectly. Then the rural lands, these range in your lowest densities, and some of them are very low with special considerations given to your scenic resources and your high elevations. Your existing town plan has concerns in there for energy siting, for ridge lines, for height considerations, things that can't exceed the tree line. I mean, if we wanted to break this out into 2 categories, that's fine. I just didn't see why we would, both your rural lands district and your conservation district identifies concerns about certain resources that you would need to protect, scenic view sheds that need protection. How you protect them might differ from one district to the other. So that's why I'm thinking it might make sense to just lump them together in a future land use map. And then the special consideration areas, industrial, I mean, that could include the areas that we identified as commercial enterprise. If so, I would like to point out that we did not include the John Boylan Airport because it's not currently open year round. It's instead it's in rural general. It might make more sense for you to put it into industrial, because it is a specialized use. And then
Isn't
you
it
have your
also,
oh,
the airport's
yeah.
under control of the state, so I don't think we have much of a say in that.
Right. So, I mean, I'm fine just like putting in industrial, or, you could put it in a special category. It doesn't really fit into your transect approach. So, so there's that. And then the other special consideration is the lake. You do allow for higher densities. You have, you're in a unique situation where you have offsite water, in some cases sewer at the lake. And your plan also notes considerations for you actually have some commercial uses at the lake. So I didn't know if you really wanted those to be included in the tier 1B areas. So that's why I thought, well, maybe it makes sense to just keep that in its own category because it has its unique considerations. There's also a shoreland overlay. But again, these are just suggestions. One thing I didn't put in there is the historic district, but it might make sense to add that as well.
So Allison,
Yeah.
just want to see if I understand this correctly. These categories would be entered into the town plan,
Yes.
but they wouldn't be the same as what's in the zoning bylaw necessarily.
Correct.
So the zoning bylaw is you have to meet, the conditions in that district. Whereas these are sort of a tool to look ahead in the town plan for how we want things to develop in the future.
Yes.
That's basically what
Yes.
but
And
these would
that's-
not control zoning. These would not be entered, these categories would not be entered into the zoning bylaw itself.
No, they would not control zoning, but they establish a logical basis for your zoning and regulation decisions. And by doing this, you're also presenting a logical basis for adopting subdivision regulations, because you're saying these are the areas where we want to pursue tier 1B in the future, and we want to be able to encourage housing opportunities here, but we might want to apply special considerations to the lake, for example. It also would establish a logical basis for special considerations for your high elevation areas and like the concerns that are cited in your energy siting guidelines. So again, the future land use map is not a zoning map, but it establishes a logical basis for the overall patterns that you want to achieve with your zoning, whether or not your zoning is doing that today or tomorrow. It establishes a logical basis for how you might want to tweak them in the future, like
So if we
adding
had,
subdivision regs.
so if we had some zoning bylaw that we came up with, it should have a basis in this.
Well, I think it's the other way around. This would establish a logical basis for future changes that you would make to your zoning bylaw. When you amend your zoning, it's
That's what
always
I said.
supposed to, well, yeah, but it's your logical basis for future changes to your zoning. So that, and I know that you're already working on some changes, and like as soon as this gets adopted, hopefully you'll turn right around and start working on subdivision regs. But whether or not you do that, you're like queuing yourselves up for the changes that what you want to achieve. And I see language in because I also look through your zoning, and the objectives that are cited here, they're aligned with these categories too. I mean, you just don't have to use the labels that you use in your zoning districts. And I know that, the devil is in the details, and starting from these categories. So I'd have to go back and actually work on a wall size, map and come back with you and meet with you all in person and look at it in comparison to your existing zoning and where you want to be. And from there, but I needed somewhere to start from.
Yep.
So does that make sense?
Yes.
These categories make sense?
Yep.
So the other thing is, how do you feel about delineating your historic district as an overlay in your future land use map?
Hard to know what the impact would be of doing it one way or the other.
Yeah.
If we did it in the historic district, would it be exempt from Act 250 for development in there?
It could. But if you were also concerned about exempting it from Act 250,
Right.
then it might establish a logical basis for saying, we want to exempt all of this except for that. I'm not quite sure how. I know that you can't, for example, you can't spot zone with tier 1B exemptions, but if you have a logical basis for not exempting something like an historic district, I don't see how that's spot zoning. I think that might make sense.
Well, much of your Mountain Street area that's in your tier 1 exemption area is the historic district.
Yeah. The other thing is that you could just mention it in your land use plan. And you could also cite certain considerations that you should be taking when you draft subdivision regs. Usually when a community drafts subdivision regs, they're only thinking about the great big spaces and how they're going to be divided up. They're not thinking about how subdivision might occur in a smaller, more densely settled area. So they're not paying attention to details like, if you're going to be subdividing in this area, you want to make sure that you're allowing for improvements to sidewalks. You're not creating dangerous walking situations. You're not creating situations where you're adding to traffic or adding to dangerous intersections. Also, for any new subdivisions, that you want to make sure that new development maintains a certain street front orientation to respect that historic settlement pattern, like no blank walls, for example. So, those things, those concerns, you could cite them in your town plan and then, worry about the details about how you actually, achieve those when you go to write your subdivision regs. That's another way to deal with it. But again, it's establishing that logical basis. So if that makes sense to you, I'm seeing Joel nod, but I don't know who else.
Doesn't mean I understand everything you're saying. No. But I don't know. Does everybody
I think
else?
it will make more sense once we've developed a map, a proposed map, a big wall size map that we can compare alongside your existing zoning map. And then also print out like Liam's map, for example, the area that shows the spaces that could be eligible for tier 1B. I think then it will make sense. It doesn't mean that it won't be perfect. I think there's going to be a lot of, drawing on the map and all of that. But this, it's good. And it would allow us to really think long and hard about what that exemption to Act 250 would be. I mean, that every town has ambitious housing targets. I'm not saying that, they are aspirational in nature, but it does require all of us to think about density and how we might even be able to stand a chance of meeting them, even if it's just on the low end. So if you agree with this plan of attack, that's that's how we'll proceed. And I will also develop a write-up to accommodate it, so we can look through that and delineate the plan. And in many ways, your map, the narrative in your town plan now talks about like the intended objectives of each zoning district. And this would dovetail with your zoning, but it's just, again, it's separating the two maps. One is the land use plan, that's the logical basis, from your existing zoning map, and showing how they come together.
I think, yeah, I guess I'd have to see the map.
Yeah, I mean, if you want from us to say, go ahead with what you're talking about, and you're
Yeah.
not asking us to do anything really more than say, sounds good, proceed.
Well, I wanted to run some categories
And then we can
quickly
decide.
because, sorry?
No, I just need to see. I'm
Yeah,
not,
oh, absolutely.
so I think
Um,
that's what we all need to see it and then kind of decide, I guess.
Mhm.
I mean, that's for me.
Right.
I
Yep.
don't know anybody else, but
No,
that's what I need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to see
need
more
a
what you're
picture.
talking about.
I need a
Real-
Yep.
picture.
Yeah, I felt like I had to share these categories with you first, and kind of
Yep.
telling you like where we're going with it, what the logic is. Because I don't want to get too far into the weeds on the mapping and then go, oh, we didn't want to take this approach at all.
Right.
But yeah, this is that's good. Okay. So I also had a couple of questions for you about strategies for documenting the benefit to wastewater system users. So I know that I guess what I need to know, there's a couple of different factors. It looks like of the 2.8 million that was coming from the town, most of that is carried over in loans, except for the 24,000 in cash, right?
What are we talking about?
Oh, I'm sorry, wastewater. I'm sorry, I totally switched.
What about
topics.
wastewater?
That-
The plant, the new plant?
Yeah, from what the financing.
So what was your question about it again?
Yeah, what's the question?
So I looked at your financing stack.
Yes.
And so of the 2.8 million, it looks like most of it is rolled over in loans that's coming from the town.
So that
It-
plant is actually 8.8 million, 8.6
Yeah.
million.
Right.
Oh no, I know. I'm taking out all the grants.
Okay.
I'm taking out
Oh,
everything that's grants.
Our part
right, our part,
is 24,000. Okay.
2.145 million, isn't it?
2.145 million is USDA. And then we're looking at about we're going to be 3.756 million is going to be
Right.
low.
Right, it's gonna be the bond.
It's going to be because it's going to be the full bond amount, give or take give or take a few dollars, because we're borrowing the rest from CWSRF to make up the difference.
Oh, okay, I get it.
But theirs is not a, so like theirs, when you look at what they've got us approved for, we're approved for like 1.9, I think. But 850,000 of that is subsidy. So it comes back off after the first year.
I got it. Okay. So the figures are a little bit different than from what were in the town plan update on the PowerPoints. Because it looks like you've got about 800,000 coming in from Clean Water State Revolving Fund, and about just about a half of that looks like it's subsidy.
Oh no, there's
And the other half
will
is
be
loan.
the subsidy on them maxes out at 850 on construction, and we're going
Okay.
to be right at that
Okay.
because we just
All right.
added $600,000 to the project a
Oh,
couple months
okay.
ago.
Right.
when they had to
Okay.
redo the foundation. So that,
Oh,
yeah. So yeah, no, it will be right at that $3.7 million range in a loan on that.
okay.
So
So I'm
if I
just
may,
wondering, yeah.
how much will my sewer bill be?
Well, this
Lots,
is
Ozone. Actually, your sewer bill's going down this next time, so don't worry about it.
It's gonna be more, ultimately.
Ultimately,
yes.
actually, surprisingly, not drastically, because we've been
Right.
budgeting for this. So we're on a
So
5-year budgeting with it. So
It should
double?
have been more a long time ago.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm sure that property taxes should have been more a long time ago too,
yep.
judging by how quickly they've gone up. But
Well, that's a reappraisal issue.
well, it's also an affordability issue, but that's a whole other thing. I'll bring it next
That's
time.
true. That's true.
so what I'm getting at is I'm trying to figure out the best way to show not just the funding structure for the sewer, but how it impacts user fees over the long run, but also what are the thresholds we look at for adding new users and to be able to demonstrate how that impacts user fees as well. So if we're adding more, because we know that if we're adding more users to the system, then you're going to reach a certain threshold where user fees actually do go down, even if you're still budgeting for capital improvements.
Yes.
That would
Yes.
take a lot of
So
users.
I mean,
Would take a
so
lot
so
of
what I
users.
can tell you, when I'm projecting 5 years in the future, so
mhm,
our current sewer rate is 215 a quarter.
mhm.
And when we start making all of the bond payments, we're looking at a 246 a quarter. So it's about a $31 increase over a
Wow.
quarter. So it's about $10 a month.
But
And
you're assuming the same number of users.
Right. And that is just it. We are assuming the same number of users. So yes, if we added more users, we would actually be able to drive that rate down, because the rate is basically just divided by the number of users we have.
Okay. So what I'm trying to figure out, I don't think it's very compelling if we just took the housing targets as they are and just said, look, if we met all of these, because they are aspirational in nature, but if we were able to show if we met a certain fraction of them and what it would do to the user fees over time. And maybe if we showed it in like 5-year increments. I just don't know what that threshold is. I suspect it's somewhere between 50 to 75% of the low end. But I just, that's what I think might be convincing and compelling, because that would also include multi-units. It would include some of the infill that is possible, including like like the VHIP investments. And also if we are able to tie in, and I would put this in the long run, like in the 2050 target. But if you were to able to add a couple of users through like CHIP.
yeah.
So that's, I'm just
What is
thinking,
CHIP?
if I were to, CHIP is Community Housing Investment Program. And it was just rolled out this year. It's a statewide tax increment financing tool. And for certain housing developments, you can use it by working with the developer to pay for either infrastructure upgrades or actual development fees, and you can finance it out of like the improvements, the increments to your tax base over a certain period of time. Generally, it would make sense if you could pay it back in like 5 years, because at some point you would like to retain all of those tax increases. But that's the advantage of something like CHIP, and is that you don't have to establish a tax increment financing district on your own and do all of that headache. It still
So
sounds
pretty
pretty
much of a headache
complicated.
for the application process, though.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
my God, it's a headache.
it is. My hope is that if a few developers go through the process, that after they'll be able to figure out how to make it work more efficiently. That's my hope. But anyways, that's why, maybe increasing part of that, like going closer to like 75% of your low end target might make sense for the 2050.
There's another element here that actually was part of the agenda that maybe now's the time to talk about a little bit, and that is when we talk about adding users to the system, we have to talk about it in light of how much capacity we have left in the system, which is also in our town sewer ordinance that the planning commission is supposed to consider that. How much of our capacity do we have left for sewer and water should be committed for industrial use or commercial use or residential use. So when we talk about housing targets, and you put like, what was our number, 54 over some time or something like that? I think it was.
Yeah.
How much water and sewer does 54 new homes use? And is that enough? Do we have enough capacity left for that? And if we do that, is there any capacity left for anything else? That's only,
Right.
it's a question that has to come up and be addressed sooner or later.
Yeah. So when somebody comes to your town for a connection now, do they go to the planning commission? Do they consult with the planning commission?
No, this water and sewer board.
The Water
Okay.
and Sewer Board actually authorizes it based upon what they've been given as allocations for
Okay.
residential or whatever.
So the planning commission is going to be tasked with determining what the overall allocations are?
Well, it says
Who's gonna do that?
the ordinance says that the town plan should address it, I think is how it's something like that. Doesn't specifically say that the planning commission has authority to do it or to regulate it.
Mhm.
I don't know exactly how that would work, but I think it's something that you want to think about. You don't want to commit all your existing uncommitted reserve capacity for water to just residential, and then somebody comes along and wants to open a beer factory,
Right.
which takes a
But
lot of water.
I think that it also makes sense that in our projections on for housing targets, I think it's safe to assume that a certain percentage of them might only be able to happen with something like CHIP. Right?
Some of them I think so, because they would need new connections made to them. We'd be running new water lines, new
Right.
sewer lines.
Yep.
They wouldn't necessarily be on existing served lots. They'd be adjacent to those, but would not necessarily be. And I'm thinking about just for an example, the property that you guys looked at that was behind the Old Town Garage. We certainly have water and sewer right next to that field of land there, but there's nothing on it. So we would have to construct water lines and sewer lines down there. If somebody wanted to develop it, somebody would have to.
So who
Right.
pays for water connections? Is it the homeowner
Yes.
It's
Yes.
usually the
Or the
developer.
developer.
or the
Yeah.
developer or whoever?
So
Okay.
in that's an instance where if the developer wanted to go and put something into that place that we visited, and they put together cash flow projections for the housing development, And then they said, but the cost of extending water and sewer is too much. So that's a case where they might be able to build like a but for cash flow statement to justify their borrowing money from this statewide TIF to pay back for the cost of extending water and sewer. You might also be able to pay for some pedestrian amenities or connections to recreation trails or path to the lake or something. But, there's additional amenities that they can include in that financing. Without a developer, I mean, it's hypothetical, but
Yeah, I mean, when they were talking about the chip thing and the question came up about the town garage having to add, okay, now you have this extended development, you have more houses now. And they said, well, if you had to buy a town truck and then you had to build a town garage to house the truck because now you have more people and more roads and everything.
they said
And
no.
they poo-pooed that, but then who does pay for that if you in fact do need that? That was the only
That's
that
like
was
that's
the
like the
thing.
$64,000 question because
Mm.
nobody wants to pay for town garages, and it's really frustrating. There's a loan program through USDA, and every once in a while, you can be like the town of Newark and luck out and get like a CDS award. But nobody gets really excited about paying for town garages.
But you need them.
But you need them.
And fire engines, and new fire stations. More people means more everything.
Yeah.
And that's why it always strikes me that with water and sewer, but we're talking about with infill, we don't have to build any new capital expenses, really. It's very little. We
Yeah.
want to use our uncommitted reserve capacity. We have enough, but we don't want to get into the point where because we're adding more houses somewhere, now we have to, oh God, now we need a new fire engine because we got, more people to serve.
Yeah.
That's what we don't want to get into. Because
Yeah.
then your development doesn't pay for itself.
Right. I wasn't hearing regarding emergency services. I wasn't hearing a hard no in that webinar.
Yeah.
I think the program's too new for them for you to just assume that fire trucks and first responders are excluded from this program. For some reason, nobody likes to pay for town garages, and it is frustrating. But
anyway, you should go ahead with
Yes.
what you're working on, right?
Okay.
And then we're gonna,
Sounds
Yep.
good.
Yep.
Okay.
And I do think so I know you're talking about sewer and lowering rates, but we're going to have the same issue with water because we have $9.6 million going out in water treatment plants too. So, that's another thing. We add users, we help keep the rates down.
Yeah.
Because when the rates do go up considerably to cover the debt on that. And part of that's because we're not sure what the financing is going to look like yet. We don't have a package yet. So
Right.
I'm assuming 50-50 grant loan, but you never know.
Yeah. Right. Right.
We
So
only got
what should I
42 on sewer and they bragged about it.
Mm.
what recommendations should I include regarding the sewer ordinance?
What do you mean?
But is there no?
Well, the planning commission is tasked, or at least somebody in the town is tasked with
Okay.
evaluating the sewer ordinance, right? To make sure
you
that you
mean
don't
how-
exceed it.
Right. Well, that's part of the town plan process. We're gonna have to, but we have no way to know, or at this point, we don't have any real numbers to work with. I mean, we could just say, we could make up numbers.
Well, why
Everybody else does these
Couldn't
days.
we set like a priority list, that, we give priority, up to a certain percentage will go to housing and
Right.
kind of setting like, okay, these are kind of, our soft kind of caps. We don't want more than this going to this, but we want to leave flexibility that, well, we could if something better came along.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's doubtful that we will have a lot of industrial development.
Mhm.
I have a hard time. I mean, we're 30 miles from the interstate. We've got what we've got. I mean, we can hope, but although our whole thing is we'd rather have 10 small businesses employing 10 people each than one big business employing 100 people.
Right.
And,
Um,
you know,
and that's really more realistic, and it's that's of a good scale with a community your size.
so I think
Um,
that are you looking for some percentage numbers of the remaining capacity that we should come up with?
Well, I'm just trying to figure out a best way to evaluate it and present. I mean,
Yeah.
what about historically, basing it to a certain degree on historic permitting? Knowing that you have to anticipate an increase in permitting for residential development if you stand a chance of even getting close to meeting your targets. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I especially, I don't think we've added any real new water users except for residential in the last, what, 15 years, 20 years. I mean, we haven't added many in the way of like new business. I mean,
Yeah.
we've changed businesses, but not like
Right.
restaurant's a restaurant. It's not like we added something that wasn't there already.
Right.
I mean, we could take the current proportion, split it and say, do it like that. Whatever percentage commercial has now of the total usage, just use the same percentages.
Yeah, why not?
Are any of those commercial uses outside of your service area?
Well, yeah, maybe. Right. Well, no, but I mean, what difference would that make?
Well,
I'm
it
just
would,
talking about the service area, just limited to the service area. And in the service area, what percentage of the water consumption now is done by residential? What percentage is commercial and what percentage is industrial?
okay,
And then just use those numbers. You got to start somewhere.
all right. Do you keep your permitting? Well, actually, I think they're on a new website. I think it only has, no, it only has the housing permits. It doesn't have any commercial.
We could break those numbers out for you pretty easy, I would think.
Yeah, if you could, because the website that I have is only going to have the housing, and that's not going to help me.
Well, and we're only going to have permits for not that many years back because we didn't used to require a permit, I don't believe.
I'm just talking about looking at the consumption figures and the billing figures, not permitting.
Okay.
Right. I mean, we can pull that out of our system. Katie there, it's on the table, could help us with that.
Okay. I mean, just for the hell of it, are you thinking of something like 70% residential and 30%?
Probably not even. Well, and then we need to figure out what are we considering commercial, because some of those, like I'm thinking of the old Buck and Doe building, which is actually apartments, but then there's a laundromat in there, and it's all the same account. So
Yeah.
Didn't we have to break out for one of the CWSRF applications? I remember asking Teresa how many commercial users we had.
yeah, I can tell you how many units we bill that we consider commercial,
Right.
but that's what I was saying. Katie needs to go through that because it's not accurate in the billing system.
Right.
We actually have more commercial than what it says we do.
Yeah, I think we
Because
only
there's some
5%.
Yeah, it's not a lot. I mean, I
Yeah.
think the system only has like 22 accounts labeled as commercial accounts, but there's commercial accounts that are just not labeled that way. And so we really need to go through that
Yeah.
list and just it's just a checkbox. It's not like it's anything complicated. The rates are the same. But
So in
You
other
know.
words, the preliminary engineering report that you did through the Clean Water State Revolving Fund wouldn't be very helpful.
I can't say that it's going to be 100% accurate. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
But,
Okay.
but
It's
we
what
don't
was
need it
given
be
to
either.
us, and we've worked more in water and sewer now, so I can look through the billing system and see, oh, okay, well, that is definitely a business that is listed as residential. And when I pull a list of commercial users, there's a lot of names missing off that list, and it's just they're simply encoded wrong. They're not they're in the system. They're just not coded correctly, and part of it's just old.
Yeah. But it's probably also a negligible, I'm thinking it's probably a negligible difference in most cases because they're probably drawing at a scale that would be similar to residential.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they're
So,
few of them go way over there.
Probably less. A lot of
Yeah,
them
some of them
probably
are
less. I
yeah.
mean, you get a retail store. Well, for instance, our store, I mean, it's like there's a bathroom there, but who uses
Yeah.
it?
It's not like they're running a
Where do you
dishwasher
go?
and a washing
I have a
machine.
really good
Yeah.
bar. I don't go
Yeah.
all day long. Right now, now that you mention it, though, I don't. But I'll use the water here now.
Okay. All right.
Are we being helpful?
I think
pull
so.
that
I think
information for you.
so. And I had a couple because I've been working on like organizing the draft of the plan. And there are some things that I wanted to just move around a bit. Because I think they're really great, but I think that they would be effective in other areas. Like there's a description of your land use patterns in the natural resources section. That is great. It would be really helpful in the land use plan. The other one is the historic resources. I think would be really helpful in the land use plan. I mean, do you care if certain elements that fall under certain headings? Okay.
No.
Okay.
Doesn't matter where they are.
No, I think the plan could use a full rewrite.
Okay. All right. So I can shut up now because I know that it sounds like you guys have a pretty full agenda. I looked at it and I was like, oh my God.
Yep. So we all set? We'll move on.
All right. Thank you, Allison.
Thank you, Allison.
Thank you.
So actually the next one is the town plan for the water and sewer.
And it's what we just
already
talked
did
about.
that,
Okay.
so we're good there.
All right.
It's just that we have to do that at some point.
Okay, so the zoning administrator update, talking to Nick, he just had there's like a certificate of occupancy permit. There's a new construction and there's a home business and storage close to their home. And
And I,
it's a home business and storage near their home.
and I can tell you that, the thing on Cedarwood Drive, the sign,
Yeah,
it's still there.
right. He's sending them something.
Yeah. He's sending him a warning letter.
Yeah.
right?
Cedarwood,
Right.
what's?
But they didn't get it yet?
He just did it today, I think.
Oh, the big, I-
Well, he
I've
should
not
have
seen
because he did another one.
It's
but-
it's a trailer, it's not even 100
Oh,
square.
he did
feet.
do it.
It's got something with doors, and on the side of it, it's got his advertisement for motorcycles
It's
and
huge.
oh,
Well,
wait
it's-
a minute.
Well, I looked at it.
it's,
Pretty big.
it's probably maybe at most 10 feet by 5 feet on the sign itself. It's illegal, yes.
That's a pretty big. I don't know
Where
where
is
you're
he?
saying 5 feet.
It's not a huge unit. It's just the
It's a
sign.
snowmobile sign. Isn't it a snowmobile trailer?
It's, the trailer doesn't matter, it's the sign.
Right, but it's on that whole trailer.
Yep, well, the
Okay,
trailer,
okay.
that makes it a sign.
If it's a trailer, it can be towed. It can be impounded.
Well,
If
we
it's
don't,
a sign, then it's illegal and it can be torn down. So pick one.
well, we're telling them they have to move to get rid of the sign. They can park the thing there if they want, as long as it meets setbacks, but they can't have it be a sign. And it is now functionally a sign and they have to get rid of it. But we
This is
can't
the
just
sign.
go in there and haul it away ourselves.
Putting a
That's-
sign
That would take
That
a
would
court
be
order.
like on, like
Yeah,
paint or
yeah,
graphic
yeah.
to the,
I
thing.
have no idea. I
what's different about that than?
So they
Oh,
have to
so
move it
this is so
somewhere where
fun.
will not be effectively a sign.
Right.
I mean, they could put it way in the back of their lot or something,
Oh.
but if they move it and park it
Okay.
in their driveway, just move
Because
it back, and leave it,
they
that's still a
actually
sign.
they actually have a sign on the snowmobile trail.
Yeah, it's on the
As well-
snowmobile trailer.
No,
itself.
no, there is a sign on the
I
snowmobile
haven't
trail
seen
going
that.
from my house to
oh.
downtown. There's a sign.
By the
There's-
store,
I'm like,
By
oh,
the
what the
store.
hell is that?
by the store.
No,
Not that.
from my house to downtown. There's a sign
Oh, a sign.
on the snowmobile trail.
Okay.
On whose property?
Well, it's around here, this place here, so it's probably his property. I don't know that. I don't know that.
Yeah, I don't know about that sign. All I know is that, I don't care what it's mounted on, it's a sign.
Right.
And
Yeah, especially if
it's-
you just leave
it
it.
not, doesn't meet sign requirements, so. Anyway, I just wanted to point out that it's still there. I don't know whether people live there now or the house was quiet when I was there.
This is,
So today I think he took care of it because I have.
so he's after this one here now, after Beth been trying to the rose.
Oh, yeah. No, well, Nick's got that now.
Yeah, okay.
What is that?
In Kingsbury?
What is
Huh?
that? What are you looking at?
This one here, the shed that on Blueberry.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. I
yeah.
haven't seen that.
Well,
Send that
this
to-
was back with Beth and
You
they
know
would
about
never,
that one.
Right.
they would never,
He's working on that.
yeah, that's good. Okay.
All right.
Yep.
And that's all really he had to say. He was sick too. He was sick all week, just about. So that's really it. There's one still on the bulletin board down in the foyer, so that's all we have right now. That's all he gave me. Is there anything else we want to talk about on that? We good?
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on. Then we've got the downtown project.
So, we'll be going into executive session in a little while for this because we're going to be possibly dealing with somebody that we'll have an agreement with, a contract with, and we don't want them to premature disclosure of our position would negatively affect our position. So we don't want them to know exactly what our position is.
Okay.
But we don't have to go in executive session yet. But what this is about is we have two projects going on that are relative here. And one is the water main from Mountain Street to Pleasant Street, the 100-year-old water main that
Mhm.
is, we were told 10 years ago, it needs to be replaced in a short-term basis.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's still not replaced. And I just worry about the line.
I know.
And if we had a lot of time, we don't know how much time we have for that line, but it's something to think about. And how it affects things is, this is complicated. We need to proceed. We don't want to tear the street up twice, remember?
Right?
Storm drain, sidewalks, and the water main are part of the downtown project. We don't want to tear the street up twice, so we have to do this all at once.
Mm-hmm.
If we want to move on the water line, the thing that's holding us up in the downtown project is the utility pole question.
You're right.
Because the plan called for creating sidewalks on the lakeside of Cross Street, and that's where the poles are. And the plan said that the poles are in the way if we want to build a regular old sidewalk there. We do not want to build a sidewalk around telephone poles.
Mhm.
It's crazy. But it would cost, so we went to the electric company, we said, what can we do with these poles? And they went, oh, well, we could move them to Alder Street. $2 million the town has to pay. So we go to the attorney and we say, do we have to pay for this? And the attorney says, basically, if it's a highway reconstruction project primarily, even if it has an aesthetic improvement as a result, if it's mainly a highway reconstruction project, the utilities have to pay the cost of moving the poles or moving their equipment. All reasonable costs. So typically, I think that means moving a sewer line from here over to here, or from here over to here, or something like that. But we're asking them to move those poles a frickin' city block.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
So they are balking. We could go to court, and I think now's when we have to go into executive session.
Okay, so are you going, they're gonna need to make a
Somebody-
motion to do that.
I'll
Right,
make a
the-
motion to go into executive.
On the basis of premature knowledge would negatively affect our position.
Right.
And I'll
Can I
second
just
it.
ask a quick question? Because I was staying because I think you wanted to talk about short-term rentals, the proposed regulations from the town of Burke.
We did, you know what? I forgot my paperwork.
Okay.
That whole draft that I had all these
Okay.
papers and I forgot it. So I think we could shelve that for now because we were still,
Okay.
but we'll do it. We have a meeting the next following Monday, which is March 1st. I don't know. if
That
you-
is our town meeting information
meeting.
session.
Oh, I thought, I thought.
Yeah, it's our town meeting too.
Ours too.
Yep, ours
Yeah.
too.
So we won't have it.
On the first, on the Monday or Tuesday?
Yeah,
Tuesday.
Monday,
but-
Monday night is the
Oh,
Monday
information
night.
session.
Meeting.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't even have that meeting. Wow, we're missing another one.
Yeah, we can shelve that for now, I think.
Yeah.
I think
Okay,
so.
so if that's the case, then I'll sign off. I certainly have my marching orders.
Have a
Thank
good-
you. Thank
Good
you.
night.
Thanks,
Night.
Allison.
So are we in executive session?
Okay, hold on. So she made the motion, somebody seconded, did they all approve it?
Yep,
Yes.
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 Okay,
The record will show that.
So. All right, and now we approve the minutes.
Yes. Approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
I'll make a motion. We approve the minutes to the previous meeting, even
And
though I wasn't here.
I will second.
All in favor? Yay.
So who needs this? Who's doing?
Katie does the
Katie's-
minutes for you guys. Katie does the minutes for the plan.
So I just gotta let her know. I don't
Right,
have
right.
her.
She'll just need to know who motioned and who
I don't
seconded.
know. I don't have her email or
She's
anything.
Just leave it there in
administrative.
the office. Just leave it there in the office.
Yeah.
Leave it
she's
on my
administrative.
desk.
She's
make sure
administrative
she
one or
gets it.
something like that.
Okay, so the other thing here is the other business, and do we want to make up a meeting since we're not having that Monday meeting?
Oh, yeah.
What's the calendar look like over there? Because, I mean,
Just go to your next regular,
really? Yeah,
I think. I mean,
right.
unless you want to have one.
No, I'm just worried about, like if we're on.
Yeah, that's true.
track and stuff.
Then we should
If you wanted to do another meeting, you'd have to do it on a
I'm going.
Thursday night, like the following Thursday. Instead of Monday, it'd be Thursday.
I'm sorry, what? Say it again.
Instead of having it Monday the first,
I just want.
you'd have to have it, what, fourth, fifth, whatever
Really screwed.
Thursday is. So it would
Sunday's
give
the
us,
first, Monday's the second, Tuesday's the third, Wednesday's the fourth, Thursday's the fifth.
yeah,
Yeah.
so you'd have to do it to the fifth,
We don't.
in order to have it-
Meetings on it.
instead of having 2 weeks right in a row.
I mean, you could do it. Could do it the following Monday. I mean, what's the problem with having 2 meetings in a row? It depends on how much you think you have to get done.
Yeah. We could do it that way.
I mean, like do it on the 8th
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
and then. I mean, actually tonight, but then we're gonna end up having the other meeting on the the following week again.
That's right. You'd have two Mondays in a row.
Mhm.
God, I
You'd
hope
have-
I get a raise.
So you have a lot of stuff. You have a lot of stuff.
We
to
did
do.
get a raise, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
We didn't get it till next.
They doubled it.
Well, they didn't pass the budget yet, so don't count your
Right.
rubles before they.
Well, if they go down to a 3-person board, that'll help.
That'll help the budget.
Yeah.
It's right, $5,000 anyway.
Yeah. I'm all about saving money for the
All
town.
right then.
So we're just gonna keep the regular meeting, scheduled
Yes.
meeting. Okay.
You can call one, if you need to call one, you can call one as special.
So when is the special meet, would be March 1st?
Yeah, but we're not doing that March
Right.
first.
So
And we're
now-
not doing the 8th because,
so we're doing the
15th.
yeah,
15th of March. Okay.
15th of March.
they're gonna be here?
Yeah, I leave the 19th or the 20th.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, I will zoom in for the meetings because, I'm just so dedicated.
I
You
have,
headed for
to-
Florida?
I have to too, so.
You're going down there with all the Burmese pythons and Komodo dragons?
Yeah, whatever.
Jeez.
I know it's warm.
So that meeting would be March 15th,
16th.
16th, okay.
So how long are you gonna be down in Florida?
I come back, think, that's tough. 20, February. March,
March.
is it?
Flip over another.
This
thing.
one here.
Yeah.
I'll be back, April 20. I leave the 24th. So I'll be here the 27th. Oh, God, that's a lot of meetings. Well, yeah. All right.
All right, so
And if I have to, I'll zoom into my select board meeting.
are we gonna adjourn?
Oh, I'll make a
Can
motion
I
to
can I give you one more just thing that we're gonna need to talk about at your next meeting?
Mhm.
So I discovered that the park grant that we had received while Noah was there,
Yeah,
turns out we still have that grant open. He never closed it. He never turned anything into it. And so it's $148,000 for the work
Right.
around the pavilion in the park and to create
Yeah.
the cement pad for the dock to rest on and a walk path down to there. But we kind of need to revisit that project and make sure, because there was a lot of stuff in there that I think we need to cut out. We're not going to get
Yeah.
enough money to do all of that. And there was a lot of landscaping, I remember, that was an issue
Yeah,
with
right,
the snowmobile
right.
club. And, can we simplify the project with
and who
while
was
still
gonna
being,
maintain all that?
Right.
what
And we're
I
on
would
the
like
hook
to
for
do
20%
is
too.
for us to go through that and say, okay, we could still meet the scope of work that was turned in and get the grant money without having to go back and rework all that, because they're kind of expecting that we've been working on this for the last year, that we didn't know we actually still had it.
Maybe we could use that money and move some poles
Move poles.
There you
to-
go.
to
or
the-
buy new poles with that money.
Put poles in the park. I mean, why not?
Why not?
So I'll get that ready, because I just found that I got a letter from the state. So I will.
talking about? What do you? What?
Oh, yeah,
They won't be that far into the,
we're kind of busy. I'll show you in a minute.
So are we done?
Yes.
All right, we are adjourned. Okay, all right.